I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of our artists have dropped off, but from a lot of the community that I've touched base with, it hasn't happened. If anything, you guys have busted nuts more than ever.
There's a difference between like being an artist that makes music and someone who just like listens to music. You don't really understand everything that happens behind the scenes. Like, it was naive of me when I started to think that like shit just happened. Like, you drop a good song and boom, like you're just on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's just what happens. But it's just not like that. It's such a grind that people don't. I think people that aren't in it can't really comprehend.
Okay.
So it's like, let's say a local artist puts out a song and they get like 10K or something, like 10K listens, and then people around the city are buzzing about it. They're like, holy shit, this guy's from Utah, you know what I mean? But most likely the next day after that song blows up, or the next week or so, shit's just gonna go back to normal for that artist. Like, it's just, they hit highs and then you just hit lows.
So some bubbles.
But right, and then to the outside people, it's like, oh, they fell off. Dude, they only had that one song, and now he's like, you know, he didn't get signed from that or whatever. Now you don't hear or anything like that. So I think people are just easy to fall off of easy to jump on the bandwagon when they need to, and then easy to jump right off. Because I'll tell you, I've had countless fans who were like, dude, you are my favorite artist of all time. Like, I love you so much. And then like a year later, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. But like, they don't even know who I am, or they forgot about me, or vice versa. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. The person, they probably don't even listen to my music anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. I don't know what it is. But there are some people that recognize like, oh no, he's just starting. He's barely even scratching the surface. Like, yes, he might have a hot song that you think that would land him in a position where he's going to be the next Russ or whatever the fuck, but it doesn't happen like that. It takes a lot of time, and then real fans recognize that. Like, but I think,
well, it's because they tap in with you too. I mean, like, because if anyone wanted to really get a hold of what you're doing, you're very good about it. You hit him on Twitter, you hit him on Instagram, and then with your Facebook and your branding, I mean, obviously everyone is able to participate into what you do. And I think it's just probably because you've been able to open that, you have a stronger sense, plus kind of like what you said, you've been able to back up and kind of recalibrate, I guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah, and I think people just saying like, you know, Salt Lake artists, you know, they just, they're easy to fall off. I think it's just stupid. It's kind of like naive to think of that, because like, you actually don't understand the process that it takes to get into this shit and really to continue to do it. Like, it's just, you have to just be on your own ass as much as like you would with anybody else. And it just takes time. I think everything's just handed to us so quickly nowadays, where, you know, an artist who is taking a time to perfect their craft and really get to where they want to be, someone will see that as like someone who hasn't made it, or is never going to make it, or has fallen off. Whereas it's like, no, that person's just working on their craft. And like, though it seems like people just make it overnight and that's how it's done, like, that's never how it's done. No matter what artist you see out there that just blows up, it didn't happen overnight. I guarantee you it was a process for them, like anybody else. A good example is like Benny the Butcher and Griselda, those rappers. Dude, those guys are like in their mid-30s, if I'm not mistaken, maybe like closer to their 40s. And it wasn't until like 2014 where they were getting recognition. But they've been doing this shit for like 15 years. And there's an interview with Benny the Butcher and Adam 22, and Benny touches on the topic of like, he just knew like that's what he just had to continue. Didn't matter what age he was at. Like, in your 20s, you feel like you should be getting it right now, and tomorrow, like, it needs to happen, or if it doesn't happen tomorrow, you want to quit, you know what I mean? But it isn't until like you get older where you kind of just stop focusing on that shit, focusing about making it, and then everything else just falls into place. Like, focus on your craft, and then all that other shit's gonna come together.